cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut.
Dude, I swear, it's been like one thing after another today. My sanity is like, woo! So you're gonna get a really fun podcast out of this.
No crying today, I promise.
No
crying today.
No tears.
That's fine. We try to avoid that when possible, unless it's happy crying, because chat gifted so many subs, right, chat? Come on.
Let's go, chat.
I'm gonna keep pumping them up. Looking for the oil barons.
Okay. The oil daddies.
So we start every podcast off with something a little bit dumb, which is we thank all of our patrons.
Oh,
and
that's cute.
That's not dumb at all. That's
not
great.
dumb. We love the patrons. Let's go, oil daddies.
Okay, hold on. You're reacting a little too pleasantly. You haven't heard the names yet.
Oh, yay!
Okay.
Love you,
so we like
Daddy
to do this.
Smooch.
We did this with Farfa, and we loved getting some of the reactions from his chat also.
Oh,
So
yay.
let's give a huge thank you to our patrons: Cam Yang, Top Cuts, Trouble Sunny, and Caleb. Austin Johnson, Kane Martin, Marshawn Jones, Zyphorus, Yeet the Feet, AD, Anthony, Lila, Dank, Nugs, Earth Machine, Best Deck, Epi. Has anyone actually read Toy Vendor? The answer is no. HGH Cyber, I Am McLincoln, Jarrett Helton, Mountain Man, Oatmeal Spaghetti, Owen Alvarado, Pig, Rudolph, Sunny, sold my runic tip, burned my crops, and poisoned my water supply. Okay, so
wow.
For reference, I did sell the runic tip, but I got more for it than retail. So
that's fair. Yeah, that's
good.
Fair.
We take those.
Shout out to your patrons though. I'm not saying patrons change your name, but our patrons, it's just like, yeah, I'm Tim. I'm John. I'm Leanna. Like they just use their names.
Yo,
you know?
patrons, feel free to start changing your names.
Yeah, feel free to start changing your names.
This is just started. You have no idea.
Yeah.
The next one is Sprite Farter. We've gone through Sprite, Invoked, and a couple other ones that just he keeps changing his name to different farting archetypes.
Yeah, it's great.
Super Ancient Deep CD's Nuts King Coelacanth. Can't even do it with a straight face. Tearlament's having this floodgate in your mouth.
That's my favorite.
Tin Dangle Doles, more like Tin Dangle these nuts again. We do this every episode. We have to deal with this. Unban number 95, Konami. Understanding and reading are two different things. Virtually Savior's World. You still play Dragon Link while Cry Me a River while I'm dragging these nuts across your... I'm sorry. I feel bad reading this. Zingis Khan, Aaron Gardner, Asami, Ashless Chaps, Brandon Potter, Duty Booty, Dragon Maidenless Behavior, which is my favorite.
That's my favorite.
I like that one a lot.
Jerry Beans, man, King Henry, Old Man Red, Pin Code 143, Ray Powell, Shockmaster did nothing wrong, slaking it up. Stop crying about called by. It's balanced. Where Appaloosa dating sim Konami? That's a new one.
Wow.
Yeah.
So two things. I think we banned the called by guy.
Yeah. I think
and then shout out to Pig. I think Pig has the coolest, most simplistic name.
Yes. There was one. So we have this huge debate within our community. It's not even within like the podcast anymore. It's just gone out into the community of whether or not Appaloosa is a floodgate. We cannot come to a peaceful resolution.
Okay.
It's just not possible.
It's not a
People are
floodgate.
It's not a floodgate.
I don't think a floodgate is the word.
Like it's as much. It's as much of a floodgate as Borlode Savage Dragon is a floodgate.
It's not a floodgate.
Which is 0%.
I just think people don't understand what the word floodgate means. If that seems to be some flawed reasoning and understanding that we need to readdress.
Yeah.
Here.
Okay, so Skyhawk is sending it to me. There's a chart now. There's an alignment chart.
Yeah.
On floodgates. Things like Appaloosa are on there. Things like Imperial Order on there.
The rule book is on there.
The Konami rule book is considered a floodgate by one portion of this chart. Borlode Savage is on there. It's something. It's really something.
It sounds kind of cringe. I'm not gonna lie.
Damn, hang on. Ecclesia, the Incredible, the Virtuous, your opponent. Yeah, this is a floodgate too.
Like,
this card's
like,
definitely a
definitely.
floodgate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to readdress what the word floodgate means.
I keep saying it has to be a continuous effect that continually restricts your opponent, but
no, I think that's very fair. That's a good definition.
Yeah, like the barrier statues.
Yes.
Yeah.
Floodgates.
Like
Yeah. So we had one that for a while that was the Hoover Dam is a floodgate. That was one for a while.
Which
I
is
can get
just a
down.
fact.
Yeah, I can get down with that
It's
one.
just
Yeah,
I
I can
actually-
get behind that.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
Okay. The other thing that we do at the beginning of these is thank the wonderful sponsor Dragon Shield. Everybody loves Dragon Shield,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yes, best sleeves in the world.
Yeah.
That's right. That's you see a whole table full of sleeves here. It's
Love
all
that.
Dragon
Mhm.
Shield.
On
Love
it.
that.
I swear it's not because they send me cases of them.
No, not at all. That's surely not it.
All right, so we wanted to go a little bit into the content creation side of this because a lot of times on different podcasts and things like that, including ours, we mostly talk about things like the ban list, which I think has been talked about to death at this point.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's because we
we-
haven't gotten it yet. That's why.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
It's
You
true,
want
it's true.
everyone wants things they can't have,
Yeah.
right? And we can't have a ban list yet, so it's just like the most desirable thing in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, we've done at least like 3 ban list episodes. It's at an hour a piece. It's it's covered, but we can get more into that at the end. But I really wanted to talk about the creator side
Yeah,
of Yu-Gi-Oh
sure.
for a little bit because I think what most people don't realize is the amount of work, the amount of effort, the amount of time and dedication, studying, learning, teaching yourself how to do a bunch of different things
Mhm.
I taught myself video editing.
Yeah,
and
so did
audio
we.
editing.
Yeah.
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 So I think that there's a big misconception within not just this community, but a lot of communities that doing things like Twitch streaming and making YouTube videos and things like that is people think that it's really easy and that
Okay.
you can just throw anything on YouTube and get 1 million views.
Yes.
What's not talked
Yes.
about, and what's not talked about is the time and dedication that's put into
Yeah.
different things. I mean, look at your guys' studio setup. There's so much time, love, and dedication that's gone into just setting up the room, just setting up the background.
Mm-hmm.
So much thought
Yes,
and effort
this,
has
a
gone
lot
this
of-
into
beautiful,
There's a lot of like
thoughtful
cords and
background of
cables too.
cords and a futon and.
but you also have all the lighting
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
You have all the figurines, the posters,
Mhm.
all of that,
Alpacas.
right?
Yeah. Yes, everything's
Lots
like
of alpacas.
intentional. Yeah.
But when you really think about it, there's so many people that say, I can be a YouTube creator, and they'll literally just sit in front of a cheap $20 webcam and throw stuff
Mhm.
up. And I'm not saying that can't work. XQC is the biggest streamer in the world. But what they don't realize is the time and dedication. So I was wondering if we could talk a little bit more about the time and dedication that you guys put in and maybe give some tips and advice for people that are starting up. Because you guys are in the very top 1% of Yu-Gi-Oh! YouTube channel. For every channel that has 40, 50, 100,000 subscribers, there's 100 to 150 that have like 10 and are just getting started. And some of them will make that journey and do all the research and take all those steps, but a lot of them won't, right?
I mean, a small part of that is very possible due to the fact that they don't know where to go.
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
I would just love to point out real quick, while we have this conversation, our chat is having a conversation on floodgates. Like, they're just like, this is a
They're-
floodgate. No, this is a
they're-
floodgate.
they're
No, that's
so
a floodgate.
really-
It's a
They are still
decisive
just hell
topic.
bent on the floodgates.
They are really going in on that one.
And I think I'll use that as a transitioning piece. They're hellbent on the floodgates. I think that's kind of where I would maybe like to start, is that you have to be hellbent on what you want to do. I do not think that there is the ability to, there shouldn't be the option to fail. And I know that sounds like really cliche and really dumb, but like, I always kind of grew up with and always kind of like, told myself like, I'm never going to need a plan B because plan A is the only option. And I think for us, it was like, if we really want this to work and we really want this to be successful, we are going to have to put unabsorbent amount of time and effort and energy into what this is and what we want this to become. And for what it's worth, we're not even close to that yet. But I'm like, I appreciate, you know, everything that you said so far because it makes us feel like we're partially there.
Yeah, you put us in the top 1%. I'm like, oh Jesus, maybe
Oh, you
I'm
definitely
like,
are in the top 1%.
I feel like I'm at the bottom 75.
Yeah, we look at people like, you know, like people that we idolize and look up to, you know, like Sam, Farfa, Simo, people that have like, you know, like triple, they have like 100,000, 200, 500,000, big numbers, and we're like, we're sitting here at 40, just like twiddling our thumbs.
It's like, and I feel like that's just more of like a personal, like, we always put ourselves lower than where we think we are, whether it's in life or whatever it is we're doing. We tend to, you know, unless you are just super confident, which is fine. But me as a person, I always tend to think of myself as a lot lower on the scale than I realistically am, because I don't want to get cocky. I never want to get overconfident. I never want to assume that I am above something, because I think that is like, that's a stage that a lot of people can slip into very easily, especially when you see success. And when you see success, that's great, but I think people, it's a very slippery slope where you reach success and you still maintain a level of self-awareness and like consciousness about why you're doing it, where you've come from, and how you can still keep going forward, instead of being like, oh, I made it, I'm done, and now I don't have to interact with anyone like BD. Which, like, there are people like that. So like it's a constant state of, I don't want to use the word humble, that sounds like arrogant, but like being humble, like you cannot, and especially like the Yu-Gi-Oh community, I feel like, or in any like nerdy hobby thing on YouTube or anything on YouTube, whatever niche area you're in, I feel like being humble is probably one of the hardest things to do, but also the most important thing, because everyone is coming from the same place, whether like, because YouTube, you start from ground zero, and like sometimes people get more of a push than others, sometimes things happen, but everyone starts 0 subscribers, that's it. So like in one way or another, you are all coming from the same place, so you cannot discredit those who are on that same journey and just facing different than you. And so I think in that regard, yeah, I don't know. It's just a slippery. So
I think in that too, like, we have this conversation all the time, is it's like, you know, like being, and it's different, right? Because we come from different jobs. Like, you know, I was in healthcare prior to this. Logan was in education prior to this. And like, you have, you know, there's like a system, right? There's like you have like your boss, and you have like your floor supervisor, you have your shift supervisor, and you have like the regular, like there's like a hierarchy of authority. And in something like this, you are the sole person. Thank God for us, there's 2 of us. But like there's only, typically in most content creating situations, you are your own boss, you are your own check and balance system, and you are your own, you know, like, you basically get to choose everything you want to do. So if something's not getting done, it falls on no one but you. Yeah. If someone is overworked because you're doing too much, it falls on no one else but you. And if you are developing an ego, or you are, you know, like on the opposite end, like you don't feel like you're doing it, like all of that is kind of like self-regulated. So as Logan said, it's a very, very slippery
and
slope.
I think that's what's so scary about it, is because it all falls on you as the person, or the whoever you're working with as like a YouTube channel, like that self-regulation is something that's hard to attain, because obviously, like, we want to think highly of ourselves when we well, and naturally when we don't feel like we're doing enough, we always beat ourselves up until we do better. So like, I think because we are self-regulated, it gets very scary once you start, you know, climbing numbers and getting higher in whatever it is you're doing, like, because you see yourself doing well and you continuously see yourself doing well. Well, why should I have to feel bad when I'm doing so well? And like, we are naturally selfish in a way. Like, I think we are all inherently a little selfish, and that's okay. It happens, but I think it's that door that opens, and you have to not just completely let the floodgate in, and just let all of that selfishness pour through, because it can happen so easily, and once you let that happen, it's really hard to come down. So I definitely, and like, speaking to Brian being like, you know, if there's only a plan A, you don't have to worry about plan B, because I think it's a little what's the word? Irrational or irrational.
I know. Yeah, I mean, I agree.
In my head, I'm like, only a Sith deals in absolutes. And so I'm like, maybe we don't say that, but like I understand what you meant. Like
for me, it's like a mindset.
Well, yes, that's what I'm
like,
saying. It's a mindset. Like if you want something hard enough, like I was gonna say, I don't know how kid friendly I have to be on this podcast. But I was gonna say,
we try to keep it like
you guys,
PG to PG-13.
Okay, yeah.
But
The patron names were kind of rough, so I guess it's not that.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But I was gonna say you can't do it half committal. There's another term I'll say. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. You have to pursue it. You cannot do it halfway. You cannot be like, oh well, I'll kind of do it today, and then like I'll work on it next week, or maybe I'll upload once this month and then like twice in another month. Like, if you're gonna do it, you have to like do it the full mile, and like it's gonna suck.
So much of content creation is self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes.
What you put into it, a lot of times is what you get out.
Yes.
One of the things
yes.
If I may, just to maybe rephrase my statement, maybe, I guess, like, I think if you, like, and this is, like, just kind of general application to, like, life in general, I've always had the mindset where it's, like, if you, like, everyone's always like, oh, if you want something bad enough, it'll happen. And, like, yeah, luck plays into that, but I also think if you want something bad enough, you'll find a way to make it happen.
Yeah, like, if you can dream it, you can do it. Like,
yeah, and it's like, if you can dream it, you can do it.
Within reason.
But know that, like, that dream is the last time you're gonna get sleep, because the remainder of that time is just, it's like progression, it's moving, it's putting things in motion, it's energy, it's time, it's resources.
Yeah, and I always say, too, like, just an add-on, because, like, I don't ever want people to be like, oh, well, because I know everyone doesn't have the means to, full commit or full send right off the get-go. Like, people have lives, people have jobs, people have circumstances. Like, I can't expect everyone to be like, oh yeah, let me just drop everything for content creation. Like, I understand you just can't do that. Like, we couldn't do that for a long time. Yeah.
I had to personally commit. So when we started as a podcast only. Our number one thing that we said was going to be our motivating factor, so to speak, or the thing that was going to keep us consistent, was that we wanted a consistent upload schedule. We wanted every Tuesday and every Friday. No breaks, no stoppages, unless something really like drastic happens.
Yeah.
But we said that was going to be our thing, and it's been our commitment and our steadfastness. We've missed episodes here and there.
Oh yeah, but like we missed, what was it, last Tuesdays?
Yeah, last Tuesdays, because I was at Niagara.
Yeah, he was still on his way back from Niagara when we would have recorded that.
Right, but so much of it has been, I understand that, sure, I want to put these episodes out twice a week, but at the same time, I'm balancing that with working 50 to 60 hours a week at my full-time job as a UPS driver, which is hard physical outside work in Louisiana heat.
Yeah.
And then I have a wife and a son. So balancing all these things, you have to understand that if this is a step that you want to take in a journey you want to make, that's awesome. But understand how to balance everything.
Balance is, I think, and for what it's worth too, I think with that, I don't think there is a perfect balance.
No.
I guess maybe we could transition us into the next topic. To answer your question, I feel like we've just been, we haven't answered the question. We've just like given our opinions on the question. But to answer your question a little bit more, we don't have the best balance either.
As
Logan said, like, we still see ourselves as super duper small. Like 40K is a huge accomplishment, and we're super proud of it. And we see all of our friends hit 80, 100, 250, whatever, like all these big numbers. And like, yes, we want to aspire to be there, and we're okay that we're not there yet. But like, it is a grind to try to get there. And I do think, the pandemic kind of made things hyper competitive.
Yes,
absolutely. There was a ton of channels who came up out of the woodwork.
Yeah, it was like a baby boomer, kind of thing, like the pandemic babies, like
and like there's
but of YouTube channels.
And it's hard because like you don't want to see your friends as competition, obviously, and I would like to think that we don't do that, like 90% of the time.
But everyone compares, it's okay. Like I think that is a healthy thing, because I think if you are comparing yourself in like a way that's not like toxic, obviously, like if you see other channels in your wavelength and you see them succeeding and them growing, I think that is the kick in the tushy that helps us keep going, because we're like, okay, well, you know what? If everyone else is hustling this hard, we should also be hustling just as hard. We should be content with where we are. We should be driving ourselves just as much. So we always see it as like a motivator instead of like something that makes us like, you know, depressed or being like, oh my god, like, oh, like so and so's gonna pass me, like, because people say that, like, it happens, like you and it's natural to fear like becoming irrelevant. That is probably a YouTuber's biggest like folly, is the fear of irrelevance.
I think we all feel that, and none of us talk about it.
Yeah, I don't think it's talked about
Yeah.
enough. Like, it's that fear of becoming irrelevant. So I think seeing your friends and your peers as like your motivators and your inspiration, instead of like necessarily it's like healthy competition is fine. So I think seeing them in that right will really help you constantly maintain the desire to do more and do better.
Yeah.
I think I would instead of using like competition, I'd probably say something more like rivals, but like in the Pokemon sense.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, like, cause like I don't know. I feel like the word competition tends to get negative connotation. Like I Yugioh is a competitive thing. Like I don't know. I don't think competitive necessarily is a bad thing, and like I think healthy competition is fine. So like, but yeah, like rival, same, like whatever connotation, as long as you don't see it as something that is stunting you, instead of seeing it as something that can give you a reason to grow.
Yeah, I think
that competition that you're saying, in that rivalry, or that, you know, it's almost a good thing to have channels bigger than you, because it gives you something to strive for.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's like, as you said, right? Like it's as we said too, is like it's all self-regulating. Like you have to be able to self-regulate that and not see it as something negative. You have to like transition it to like being not like necessarily positive, but like motivating.
When the GooCast started with Pac and Nash, it was so people would think that it's like, oh well, there's another Yu-Gi-Oh podcast that's way bigger than ours, just like that, and that might be demotivating. But for me, it was super duper, like, it made me want to do even more, because their first episode, they get like 5,000 or 6,000 views on YouTube, which is our smallest platform, in like literally a day or less, which in the scope of other Yu-Gi-Oh videos is not a lot, but for an hour-long podcast, that's a lot. That's huge. And so I saw that and I was like, look at how much room we have to grow. Look at what we could accomplish. And it's like, okay, well, now we really need the video, and we really need like things like that. Yeah. And it for me anyway, it's a huge motivating factor to see the heights that we could reach. But we got to put in more work. We got to put in more time, more energy, more effort. And it's like, okay, well, sleep is optional now.
And I think really quick, what's super cool about that, and like your mindset is very good, which I'm happy about, is like seeing that, like, because podcasts especially, like podcasts are very tough on the YouTube platform, like get to pop off unless you're like a massive, like huge creator, like big. And so
they're very difficult. We only have 250 subscribers on YouTube. Our Spotify and Apple podcast numbers do 5+ times that.
So chat, really quick, just make sure you subscribe if you're not. Is it just Top Cut Podcast? If you subscribe to Top Cut Podcast, make sure you do that really quick. Plug for the friends. But like, it's just like, I see that, like your mindset, like you just said, like it's possible to see a podcast like do well and succeed in this sphere, especially like it's one thing to have like a general podcast, like, you know, where you talk about everything, but to have a Yu-Gi-Oh podcast, and which is already so specific in such a specific small community, but to see that a podcast can succeed off the gate and do well, that's really good, because it means that it's possible. It means you can do that. It means their audience is there. It just has to be tapped into and found. So I think that's good.
Yes, it's been really fulfilling, which is a weird thing to say, but even when I was in like high school, like 10 years ago, it was like, okay, well, I would like to start doing Yu-Gi-Oh videos, because that's when the early days of YugiTube is a thing. I see other people on YouTube doing stuff, and I went to the same locals as Team APS growing up. So seeing them do their YouTube videos, and it was just really cool. And I did a couple that are on a channel that will not be mentioned, because they are but you know, and I was like, it's like, wow, that's like a lot of work. There's a lot that goes into this, a lot of time,
Yeah.
effort, money, all of that. And then coming back into the game, we both came back into the game during COVID.
Yes, he brought me back in kicking and screaming.
Pretty much, yeah.
Mm.
So we came back to the game right around the start of COVID, started playing, and about a year in, I'm like, I drive for work and I listen to podcasts all day, and there is not a Yu-Gi-Oh podcast that uploads regularly with good audio and in English. So yeah, that was a big one. But being able to start doing that and start making the content that I want to see or hear, it's been incredibly rewarding, right? That's been my biggest upside, is not the fact that I'll be honest, we can support a lot of our cards and a lot of the things that we want through the podcast budget now. Right? I'm gonna be writing off the Niagara trip on my taxes.
Love that
Yes.
for you. Love that.
But that has not been the best part of it for me. The best part has been the community. The
Of
best part has
100%.
been
Yeah.
that's my favorite part. Is we have a Discord server. It's a very tiny Discord server, but it's small and it's ours, and it's like a little family, and it's
Exactly.
Yeah.
and that's just been, it's crazy. That's when we started, I was just like, I just want to have a Yu-Gi-Oh podcast. And then we started it, and then people started commenting, and it's like, oh, well, that's cool. And then started making friends, and it's just, I didn't mean for this to be about me gushing about our community, but it really has been one of the most fulfilling experiences
Yeah.
that I never would have realized. So
And I think
I would-
I think that's the same for us as well. But I'll let you finish before we start, talking for
yeah, I was just gonna say that I would say for somebody that is looking to take that step into content creation, I know that a lot of what you've heard up until this point has actually been fairly negative, right? There's a lot of work and a lot of effort, a lot of time, money, and everything that goes into it. But at the end of the day, you get out what you put in. And if you
Yes.
put in a
Yeah.
lot of effort and time, you are going to get rewarded in ways that you never would have even realized.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Not just
100%.
in
Yeah.
renown within the community, but you'll have your own community that you can interact with and that you can be a part of. And that's something huge. There's
I think
something to be
maybe
said
to dive into that too. Like I think Instagram is probably one of the most interactive platforms that we have. And
really.
we get messages honestly, probably every single day asking similar things, right? Like, hey, I just started a YouTube channel. What's your advice, or etc. etc. And I think to actually 40 minutes now getting to answering your question, I think the advice that I always try to give, and it's really it's honest advice, and it's sometimes I hope it doesn't come off harsh, but it is the truth. And the first of that is that you have to be doing it for the right reasons. Like
Yes,
if
yes.
if you think that you see people like Sam and Simo and Team APS and all these people with 300
Gigantic
plus
channels,
subscribers, and you're like, oh well, they're living a great life and they're clearly millionaires
Yeah,
or
they're
whatever
clearly making
your
bank
perception
over-
is, and I want to do that. As you said at the beginning of the podcast, know that they're in the top 1%, and it is excruciatingly difficult to get there. And if you're
Yes.
doing it for the financial reasons only,
You will fail.
I will be the first person to tell you YouTube does not pay the way you think
Yeah,
it is.
and not even
No,
that.
it
It's
doesn't.
just
Nope.
We do this
You
for a
shouldn't-
living, and we have 8 different sources of
Look, I
income,
have,
and
8
we're
different platforms,
barely able to
and
make it
I'm
work.
clinging. I think that anyone who does anything just for the money, I think, will be doomed to fail at some point. Obviously, that's not to say for everything in all realms of life, because that's a different conversation for a different podcast.
Yeah.
But I think in the Yu-Gi-Oh community, especially if you go into content creation, you're not going into YouTube for money. No offense, YouTube, I love you, YouTube. But it's not the bank you think it is. It's not the same as it used to be 10 years ago.
Yeah,
There's
it's not.
podcasts. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna put that out
Yeah.
there. Podcasts aren't either.
Yeah, so it's just people think they can just start making content and start making bank and all their problems will go away. That is not how it is. It feels like no matter how many subscribers we gain and what we do, it's constantly like, okay, well, maybe, you know, the threshold is always higher and you're always climbing for it, and it's nice that it's not always like, you know, like obviously when you're massive, like it's attainable, but I feel like being where we are at our size, it's like the threshold is always just above, so you're always climbing a little higher and you're always pushing a little more, but it's definitely, you have to have the right intentions, 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you can't come into this greedy, because boy oh boy, you will be vastly unsatisfied.
Yeah, and I also think like when it comes to that too, it's like not only is it like what is your ambition, like why do you want to do this, but it's your expectation as well, right? Like I can't tell you how many times people message us and are like, hey, I started my YouTube channel, I've been doing it for a month now and I don't have 100,000 subscribers, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
You're being impatient. That and like, and it's unfortunate to hear, but like, yeah, like honestly, like it took us, we're what, 3 years in now at 40K. I wanted to be at 50. That's my expectation, and we haven't reached it, and it's okay. I feel like that's kind of something that we like. I really try to emphasize, is like you remove the word "but" from your vocabulary. That shit doesn't exist anymore. And so like, you know, I want to hit 50,000 subscribers, but I'm at 40K. Like, no, it's I want to hit 50,000 and I'm at 40K because now there's room for me to grow. And I think a lot of that is just like it is a lot of like mindset, and I think like, you know, so it's just making sure you're doing it for the right reasons, making sure you have the correct expectations, and know that it takes a lot of time, know that it takes a lot of money, it doesn't make you a lot of money.
It's an investment.
Yeah, it's an investment is what I'm trying to say. Like Logan's very open about this. For the first year and a half, we filmed on our phones.
Yeah, for the first year and a half, we filmed on our phone, had literally no setup, no lights.
We just got a
nothing.
second camera a couple months ago.
We just got our second camera. Like,
Wait, talk me out of buying a Sony camera.
No, I want a Sony camera. What the hell?
Yeah.
Like, I want one.
I almost bought one yesterday.
I want one so bad. That's like my next goal in life, honestly. Like, I again, it feels like there's always an equipment goal for something. Like, even though we have 2 cameras now, I'm like, well, we need a better camera because I want what everyone else has.
Sony A7 IV.
Yeah, don't we all? But yeah,
I almost put one on a payment plan yesterday. You have no idea.
Oh my god, dude, I'm so envious. But like, yeah, we didn't have like a great setup for literally the first year and a half of the channel, and like, people are always convinced that like you need like the most expensive setup in the world to have a monument of success of a channel, and I think that is so incorrect. It is not true. We use literally nothing but an iPhone. Literally, our largest video on our channel was filmed on an iPhone with no lights, no playmat, nothing but the daylight of the outside and a tiny desk in the corner over there.
Yeah.
It's our largest video on our channel. It is the most low budget thing on the planet. And like, the audio sucks. We have no mic. It's just a phone. It's just a phone and me talking with freaking World Legacy cards. That's it. And it got over like 170,000. I don't even know views at this point. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, hey, we're on his iPhone right now with a ring light we got from Walmart for like $20.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want people to think they
You'll
have to
make
bring,
it work.
Yeah. Like, and it's not. It is, again, it is all the time and effort you put into the quality of the content. It is not like I mean the quality of what you are doing, not how you are doing it. Like, you can use nothing and still pop off.
For those wanting something very cool on the new, if you're on an iPhone and a Mac or a MacBook,
Which you should be, by
iOS,
the way.
yes, iOS 16 on the iPhone and Mac OS Ventura, the new operating system that comes out next month, has a thing called continuity camera. Where all you have to do is, if you turn on your camera on your computer, you can automatically wirelessly use your phone as a camera, as a webcam.
Which is what we're doing right now.
Yeah, I got the beta for the new Mac OS.
That's so cool.
Just so that I could do this.
That's so neat.
I could talk in circles about how much I love Mac and Apple and all those products, but to round out, I think my final point. I'm sorry, I just want to close this out.
Well, I wasn't done.
I distracted.
Oh,
okay, I distracted.
No, just go.
Oh, we still have mailbag questions to do after this. It's okay. Take your time.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I was talking about the equipment stuff, but like basically, I'm like, just don't worry about like the equipment. Like literally, just as long as your effort is there and the passion is there. I always tell people it's like passion at the end. Like, you have to have passion for what you're doing and enthusiasm, and like you have to just genuinely like what you're doing. And if you genuinely like what you're doing, people who also genuinely like what you're doing will also join you, and like they will want to be in that environment and they will want to be around you. Like, it doesn't have to be some massive production. That's okay. Some people want to like enjoy content. crazy.
Yeah.
And then going off of that, creating a community like that, I think for sure in terms of content creation, it's definitely not for the money, but the community is what makes it 100% worth it. I have zero question in my mind. I literally I say this all the time. We would be nowhere without our community. Our squad is amazing. I'm literally in the middle of a subathon right now where I'm being held hostage by my own stream. Because my community is amazing and I absolutely adore every single person who has stuck it out with us for 3 days now.
Traverse through all the problems.
Everyone in my Discord,
By
everyone
the
in
way,
my...
we need more subs. Everybody give more subs, quick.
but like everyone in my Discord, everyone in my chat, everyone on my Instagram, anyone from any platform, like I cannot stress just how the channel would be absolutely nothing without you guys, and it would be super boring. And I think the community, like being able to go to events and meet people in my community and people from my Discord being like, oh, it's me. And I'm like, oh my God, like that's just crazy. And like just like having a connection with someone online and then being able to validate it in person at an event is like something else. And even if you can't, like just being able to talk in Discord or just being able to have that kind of connection. Like there are so many people in my chat that I've never met before, but I feel like I know them more than I know like people in my real life. And like that's fine.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's so cool. And like all because we have a goofy little Yu-Gi-Oh YouTube channel, and I know that there are always going to be people in our lives who are like, oh, you know, you do YouTube or you stream or whatever. That's not a real job or hullabaloo 1950s bullcrap. But like, yeah, shout out to mom and dad. But like, I don't think they understand the weight of what the community, because like no one understands the internet community like the internet. So like
yes.
I am constantly thanking my community for existing and being around, which is why at the end of every video we say we love you, you matter, because I know that we would be nothing if we didn't have the people in our community pushing and loving and supporting the way they do. So I
think there's something to be said too, like where you said, you know, like there's a lot of people on here that you've never met before. You feel really connected with them. I also think there's a lot to be said too for the people that we've met through the internet that we've actually met in person. And like we never would have had that ability to do if it wasn't for what we do, if it wasn't for having the platform, for having the community. Like I said this in the podcast that we were on yesterday, that like we went out this weekend with our patrons to dinner. Like that's something I never thought we would ever in the world be doing 3 years ago. And like the fact that we have like such close-knit community and like such a close-knit like friendship and everything for everyone, and like we have that connection and the ability to sit down with other people that we know and love and have met through this and like get to interact personally, it literally is just a dream come true. It's really really cool.
One of the most surreal experiences of my life to be at YCS Niagara and have people come up to me to say hi, and I'm just like, I'm just a dude.
Literally. Dude slinging cards.
Honestly.
And I think that kind of brings it into my final point, which is, you know, like the first one is expectation. Second is whatever. The last one.
Sorry, let me turn our notifications off. I completely forgot to turn them off. I'm so sorry. There we go.
Oh, you're good.
Sorry.
I couldn't hear them. So.
Oh yeah, okay.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they're in our ears. That's why I was like, oh, what's going on? Yeah. So the last point is you have to just be yourself. And I know that sounds crazy, but like you have to be yourself. If you're trying to be another content creator, no offense, but like no one's gonna watch it because they're just gonna go watch that content creator. Why would they watch a clone if they can just watch that person?
I understand, because I know some people like don't know where to start, and so they want to emulate another successful person, which I completely understand. Like that, I think that's where it gets muddy, because they're like, oh well, I've seen so and so do this, I should do something like that too. But like they don't know how to do it in like their own way yet, because they haven't formed that identity. And they haven't had the chance to flesh their own like channel out. So I feel like it's okay to want to be like someone and like have that same kind of vibe, but I also feel like you should honestly like just focus on yourself and your like what you want your channel to be. Because if someone just comes up to you and goes, oh, your channel is just like, oh, you're just like Team Samurai X1, it's like, well, that's cool, but like I'm my own person, so like
Yeah.
you want to have an identity. So I would really like
Yes.
before you go into this, like work on what your identity is going to be as a channel, and like you might not know a complete answer, and that's
Yeah.
okay. That's why you flesh it out as you go, and you'll meet people, you'll have a community grow, and you'll be able to kind of find yourself. Like our goal and MO of our channel when we started was not to have a tiny alpaca and then 70 more on a futon behind us and have everything about our channel revolve around alpacas. Never was the intention, but here it is because that's just where our community ended up landing. And I think it's fine, and I wouldn't change it for anything. You never know when you start, and you'll never know until you also start doing it. It's an active process. It is not a stagnant or startup. Like you have to get there.
All it takes is one comment of, yo, that alpaca in the background is really cool.
Yo,
Mhm.
that's all it takes. That's all it takes.
Yeah, I guess just
All
like,
right.
be yourself.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
No, it is fine. Finish what you were saying, please.
No, just like to tie it all together, like the people in your community, they fall in love with you. They don't fall in love with your content. Your content is just the conduit that brings them to you. So if you yourself don't have an identity, or you yourself don't have a unique personality, there's nothing for them to like connect with. So I think that like intention, inspiration, and then like making sure you have that identity, because that is like your identity is the sole goal and the sole purpose of the community coming together.
Absolutely. Do you want to do some mailbag questions from our Discord server?
Yes,
Please.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So keep in mind these questions were asked a few days ago because
That's
we
fine.
forgot to do them in the last video. We try to do it every episode, but sometimes we get caught up in our content and we
Yeah.
forget.
No, that's fair.
No, it's fair. We did too. 100%.
Okay. What would you have changed about your prep for the YCS?
I feel like that's like, for me, it's just like I wish we knew tier was the best deck going into the event, and we like kind of prepared for it. But I think there's something to be said for a format like right now where every single week there's been a different event, and for every single event there's been a different best deck. Even though it's still tier limit, it's different variants of tier limit. And I think because we were so busy editing for everyone and editing for ourselves and prepping for the subathon and getting ready for the event and all that stuff, and like travel, having friends come up, we weren't really prepared for that weekend's version of tier limit. We were ready for last weekend's version of tier limit. So being able to like test and like like I really wish that I knew to side nib. I feel like if I sided nib, I would have been a little bit more
Only good call I made all day. I mained nib.
yeah. I think that was actually very correct, and I just wish that we had that information because we tested and put a little bit more time in.
Yeah, I do just honestly my only change is like I wish I had just tested more against. I didn't get to play against tier a whole lot before the event, and I got a lot of really sudden practice at the YCS, and I did okay. I just like I don't know. I hate tier. I don't enjoy the deck, so like I really don't want to play against it. But I understand you have to play against it in order to beat it. So like I understand, but like I just wish I got more practice with it because I just didn't have the time to test against it very much. Just didn't come across it enough, and I just sided D shifter and prayed. So
Wish I would have studied my rulings better because I did not know a ruling about if you ash the gigantic sprite, you're not locked.
Yeah.
And so I'm staring at a hand of ash nib, and I wish it didn't even register to me that if I ash the gigantic, then I can still nib later. So I lost I was X1 in round 7 and I lost because of it.
That's so upsetting.
Yeah. Spiral. What product are you looking forward to the most?
Ooh.
The Dragon Shield Ember sleeves.
True. I mean, I was looking forward to the Megatons, obviously, but those are out now. I would say this year, I am looking forward to... I mean, Darkwing Blast is really good, but...
Let me catch Magnificent Mavens.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm kind of hyped for Magnificent.
Let me get the reprint sets.
Yeah, I'm kind of like down.
I hope Magnificent Mavens gets like delayed because I do not want to deal with more Striker and Ishizu cards in tier limit.
No, that's fair.
Fair.
That stuff looks insane.
But the real best set that I'm looking forward to, good and coming soon. Very soon, right? It's really coming soon, right?
True.
Coming.
Yeah.
It's definitely coming.
Cope.
Definitely coming.
How do you like your steak? I'm a medium person myself.
Oh yeah, medium.
I
like
don't like steak.
medium. Medium with like it has to have garlic though. If it doesn't have garlic, it's just like mid.
I'm the outlier. I don't like steak. So bad. Why did this have to be a question? Now everyone's gonna make fun of me. I don't
I'm
like
medium
steak.
to medium rare. So
That's about where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's okay, look.
I was a vegetarian for like 10, 11 years, so like there are just some things I just
okay.
like. There are just some things I just haven't had and just don't enjoy, and it just happens to be the steak.
Do you enjoy turkey?
I
Do you enjoy
to.
turkey?
Not right.
Because I was gonna say, what's the best way to prepare turkey? Like, there's like fried, there's
Yeah.
baked.
You like turkey sandwiches?
I do like turkey.
Turkey sandwiches are pretty good. To be fair.
I don't. I'm gonna be honest. I don't eat a lot of meat.
Yeah.
Like I really don't.
That's
like
fair.
I just being a vegetarian for so long. Like I eat meat now, but like I don't eat it nearly enough where I feel like any of my opinions are valid. Like I really
Vegetarian
don't.
or vegan?
Vegetarian. I like.
Okay,
cheese.
so best grilled cheese.
What do you mean? Like made or like what types of cheese? Like what are you asking me? That's a loaded question.
I mean, if you're making the best grilled cheese that there is, how do you do it? Because like I feel like
First,
you can't
I'm
answer the
asking
steak
Brian
question,
to
so I
make
need
it.
food related.
Yeah.
I can't cook. Honestly, like I'm going fry guy. I would love grilled cheese.
Yeah. So I think the best way to
That's
make
fair.
it, in my opinion, is you have to have smoked Gouda.
obviously depends on the people. Like what cheese
smoked
is, I feel like.
Gouda. I'm a huge
Fancy-
pepper jack
fancy
fan.
grilled cheese.
But I know
Yeah,
pepper jack
yeah.
doesn't really belong on grilled cheese, so I kind of steer away from that. Obviously, you have to have like the cheddar, and you can't have, we do use American cheese on it too. So multiple types of cheeses,
So-
really up to your personal preference. But I'm a fan of doing the butter, not mayo, butter first and foremost.
Yes.
And then I
Thank
also
Butter.
you
know how to
have
do
to
it.
season your freaking bread, people. Whether it's garlic powder, salt and pepper, whether it's like one of those pre-made like McCormick little shaker things.
Yeah.
Season your bread, please. 100%
Big money
makes a
moves.
big
I don't
worth
mind.
it.
I don't mind as long as there's a bunch of cheese on it. I love cheese. I just love cheese.
That's fair.
I like all cheese. It's just cheese.
I
love
do
cheese.
enjoy bacon on it though. I will say I do enjoy.
I
bacon.
see. I'm weird. I kind of like tomatoes sometimes, like tomato slices. I know that's really weird. But, like my mom, when I was younger, used to put like tomato slices on her grilled cheese, and I don't know if that's just like a my family thing, if that's a thing people do, but like I love that shit. Like I'm just saying, like.
Okay. Do we have any One Piece fans here? Are either of you One Piece fans?
This is awkward.
It's okay. That question's One Piece related. We'll skip it. I'm a big.
I haven't
They ask
watched
One
like
Piece questions.
anything. I'm gonna be honest.
We watch a lot of anime, but just One Piece is not one of them.
It's a long one that I just haven't had the time in my life for.
I mean, that's very fair.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Like-
just a crazy person.
Yeah. I just-
What do you think about a floodgate, but one that limits how long chains can be? Something along the lines of chains cannot be longer than 3 chain lengths. I'm against it because I don't like floodgates, but it is a unique concept.
As a concept, it's neat. I hate it
Yeah.
because right now I'm playing Labyrinth, and it's
Okay.
very easy for that deck to end up at chain link like 6.
Yeah. Okay,
I'm
yeah,
good.
I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of hate it, because like, I feel like that would just cause so many problems.
Yeah.
Because like, then if you have the out, you're forced to like think about how
feels
you're
like
gonna
a
use your
nightmare.
out more than usual, and it's just gonna be terrible. So I hate it, but I
Yeah.
understand the logic. I guess
I
it's
think-
cool, but I hate it.
I think I'm just in the camp of like floodgates in general are just not fun.
I just don't.
I'm
Which,
with
for
you.
what it's worth, I
Yeah.
think by design, that's their intention, is to not have fun. So I'm just against not having fun.
Okay, last question, and then I'll let y'all go.
Okay.
Will we ever have a ban list, or has Konami decided that this is forever format?
God, I think we'll get one. I'm clinging. At the time of recording, this is a Sunday. I'm clinging to the fact that maybe we'll get it tomorrow. I don't think we will. I feel like
These are
we're
Konami
yeah.
Master Overlords. Please ban list tomorrow.
literally.
please.
I feel like I'm in purgatory. But if we could get it tomorrow, I would be literally the happiest human being alive. I don't even care. I just want one, please.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It's crazy, right? Because I feel like the European site said that the next ban list is like December 25th, which is
Christmas,
Christmas.
yeah.
So like,
I feel
weird
like that
timeframe.
was just a placeholder. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like,
I hope
is
so.
it a placeholder, or like, are we in this spot where we're actually gonna get a ban list? And I think it's really ironic because Konami never said we're getting a ban list. We are just in this spot where we want a ban list because the format is kind of crazy, and because it's been, 3.5-ish months. So the player base is just like, oh, this is the time. And I just think it's really funny because Konami never said you're getting a ban list around this time.
Yeah.
It's like, this is all of this hype, all of this talk, all of this expectation is just player base generated.
Well, yeah, it's all just like we've been conditioned at this point. Every 3 or 4 months,
we have
be like...
exactly 7 to 8 years of a ban list every 3 to 4 months makes us feel like there is. And for what it's worth, I would probably be fine with us going to a ban list closer to every like 4 to 4.5 months. But as long as what I want is for Konami TCG to do what Konami OCG does, which is give us a set date that we're going to get a ban list.
Well, I agree.
And don't make it a no sooner than this date, but it's within 2 or 3 weeks of this, yada yada.
Because
like,
that's what causes the problems with like people being like, oh, well, it's no sooner than today, it's 2 days after no sooner than, and I was like,
exactly.
Because you give this no sooner than thing, like no one knows
and then
what to
sometimes
start.
they give us the ban list sooner than that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, why are you giving us a no sooner than?
No sooner than May 6th, but it's May 1st.
Just do a day. Like literally pick a day and like just roll with it. Because like the no sooner than is what's facilitating all of the miscommunication. And now the whole few months thing is just making it worse because now we've been so used to what we have expected for a ban list, and like I don't think it's irrational for us to expect a ban list because that's just how formats rotate kind of at this point. Like that, like that's just where the shifts are based on product release and everything. So I don't think it's a bad thing for the player base to be like, where's a ban list? Because I think it's time. And I think it's okay for the ban list or for the community to expect a ban list. So like I don't know why it feels like they're almost punishing the player base for being like stop asking all the time. And I'm like, well, if you would just like be clear, that would probably help. Like we'd probably shut up if we had a day.
Effective communication solves this issue.
Literally, like
a lot of issues.
I will say I do think that the reason that we don't have a date is because. I'm trying to give Konami a little bit of grace here without also like ragging on them, but I think it's lack of planning, and I think you can't say March 15th if you've all of a sudden booked an event on March 14th or March 16th. You can't give a solid date and then you don't know what that schedule looks like. So I think that it's very difficult to plan events, which is where the grace comes in, because of the pandemic, because of the way that businesses and events and like halls and stuff are booking things out so far or so little in advance. I think that it's really hard for Konami to be like, okay, well, we're gonna have this YCS and we're gonna have it 9 months from now. Right? Konami's been like, oh, we're having a YCS and it's in 6 weeks, or and it's in 3 weeks, and it's like, oh, how am I supposed to prepare for this? So I think having a ban list on a specific date when we're on that.
Real quick, you guys keep going. I'm gonna run to the restroom real quick. You guys keep going.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I feel like that, if we had a little bit more of a functioning world post pandemic, it'd be a little bit easier to have events scheduled and to have solidified dates on things. And I would like to think that's the reason that we don't have a solidified date for a ban list, is because it's really hard to plan a ban list around events that don't actually exist yet or that are only tentative.
Oh yeah. That's a very valid point. And something else that they also have to do is, for the love of God, don't post a ban list and then there's a tournament that weekend. Yeah. Kind of like they did last ban list, I think it was, where they posted on a Wednesday.
That was Hartford.
There was a I was like, that's
and
awful.
Didn't they make the ban list effective that day?
They made it effective that day.
They made it effective
I
that
think
day.
The ban
which
list
was
actually
crazy.
I think the ban list came out on Tuesday and the event was Saturday, and it was like,
they literally
dude,
they
what?
dropped the list and they were like, oh, it's effective today. Surprise, smile.
Yeah.
And it was like,
Yep.
why?
I also think too, I would like to see ban lists be, and I know this is all personal preference, but I guess the word would be up to date, right? I feel like the last ban list that we got was the ban list we needed 6 months ago.
Yeah, it felt
not
behind.
3 months.
It felt behind,
ban lists almost feel like they're a format behind. It's like, oh, you banned Verte when Verte was a problem for 2 formats. Now you could have made it a problem for 1.
I think that we're also behind the time on cards. What Mystic Mind's been a problem.
Yeah.
Prevalently for 3 months, but honestly, it's been a problem for a long time.
Yeah, forever.
Same thing with Artifact Scythe. That card's been a problem for ever.
Yes.
So
I'll never forget.
I wish
after what was the most recent YCS that wasn't Night? Hartford. After Hartford, we were hanging out with Poe and stuff. Like, Poe was in the finals, and we were all out to eat, and Hani Gahari walks in, and he's like, dude, I felt insane. This deck was crazy. And I said, bro, what deck did you play? And he said, I specifically named this deck. You should have banned it. And I was like, what? And he goes, look, it's Verte, it's this card, it's Scythe, it's this. I'm like, hey, bro, these cards are crazy. I was like, maybe they should have banned these cards. And he goes, I don't know what they were thinking. And I was like, it feels like we are actually a format behind with ban list.
Yeah.
It wasn't Verte, because Verte was banned.
Or maybe it wasn't Verte.
It wasn't Verte, but it was
it was all of them,
Snow.
though. It was it was like Snow, it was
Snow,
Shooting
Scythe,
Riser.
Help, Shooting Riser, like, because he was playing like the punk shenanigans he was on. Yeah.
Chaos Ruler, like all those crazy cards.
E-Telly at 3.
Yeah.
Terrible. Don't even get me started on E-Telly. Oh my God, literally.
Yeah, it just feels like the ban lists are reactive and not proactive.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and it
Yes,
feels like
that's a
they
good way to
tend
put it.
react a little late.
Yeah. But like the reaction speed of a slug.
Yeah, it's terrible.
If you've ever seen Zootopia, the sloth
Yeah.
dash.
That's
Like
that
that.
is them making the ban list. Unironically, leaked footage.
Yeah, if somebody could edit a GIF of like the player base is Judy Hopps right there saying something, and then Konami is like
Yeah.
with the really slow reaction to
yeah,
that.
it's so bad.
Stick.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just like infinitely loops.
yeah, they never actually put it down. Like.
Yeah, never.
Well, this has been a wonderful, wonderful episode. That I'm sure you're gonna let us rip off the VOD, right?
I can for sure. Yeah, I totally
awesome.
can.
Thank you. 'Cause I forgot to ask before we started.
I was like, I could have just done the recording. Oh my God, I feel bad. I didn't like hit record for like this segment. I could have done that. It's
Forgot to ask before we
okay.
started.
Totally fine. Don't stress.
And because I'm on a Mac, as we talked about at Niagara, I can't do Discord recording. Like,
yeah, Discord.
Yeah.
I mean, Discord on Mac is a nightmare.
There's a lot of pros and cons to using Mac. We found that out last night. I wanted to do like an editing stream, and we found out that like Mac and PC, like they just will not communicate. They just won't do it, and it's like really frustrating.
Each other.
Like I could have screen shared to like I could screen share to my phone, to my TV, to like the other TV, but like the PC, not having it. And I'm like, come on, man.
Like ships in the night, fleeting.
Yeah.
yeah. It's been a nightmare, honestly. It's like I want a PC, but just so that I can, like, I literally just want a PC so that I can record Discord audio. That's
Literally.
it.
Yeah.
I get it. That's why we have this PC for streaming and everything, because like there's just no way to do it on a Mac, and like this is just the ideal setup. But I do, when we move, I want to get an app, like an iMac, like an Apple computer for him for editing. Because editing on the laptop is just getting way too overwhelming with the amount of content we edit.
We've also just picked up so many more projects.
Yeah,
too, which
that's
is,
what I'm
we're
saying.
Super grateful
that's what I'm
for.
saying. We just picked up a lot of projects, so I want to have a second computer, which is ridiculous. I feel like my house is just becoming computers. But it's never. It feels like there's never enough.
I need that editing tutorial.
Yeah, anytime, man. Anytime. Literally, I
editing.
literally love editing. Editing is like one of the most fun things, which is crazy because like we do it for a living, and it is tedious and it can be frustrating, but
then
like
it's fun.
it is very fun, and I feel like part of that, just to tie in, maybe to close out, to like answer the first question again, you know, like. I got this from like my band days, right? It's like, you know, like if you want to be successful, sometimes you have to learn how to grind and do things yourself. And it's like I could pay someone to make t-shirts, or I could pay someone to record, or I could pay someone, you know, to drive us around, or I could just, you know, get a van and drive ourselves. I could learn how to do like shirt printing or whatever. Like it's the same application here with YouTube. Like you can learn how to do thumbnails. Thank God Logan is insane with Photoshop because she does all of our thumbnails. Like we didn't know how to edit. I had no idea how to edit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When we started the channel, we literally didn't know how to edit. We didn't know how to do anything.
Yeah.
We knew nothing.
We got Final Cut, and I sat down for months. And like every time we watched content and consumed content, not only was it consuming content, but it was almost like a little lesson or a little tutorial.
We would emulate, like try to see what we could, what they were doing that we could do within our realm of skill.
Yeah.
And
how
like,
do you do that? I want to try to see if I can do that. And if you don't know, YouTube is literally the best tutorial.
yeah, and honestly,
It's
like,
the answer.
yeah, and like our channel, like over the last 3 years, like the progression of our 0 editing to like where it is now is like you can see where we learn new things. Like it's very apparent when we learn how to make certain transitions or when we learn certain zoom methods or cutaways. Like it's all very clear, but I think it's good because we are just a live feed and progression of like how you can pick things up just by like practice. Like we didn't have any prior skills with content creating at all. Like literally we didn't know how to use Final Cut. We didn't know how to work audio stuff. I mean, he knew a little bit from like being in a band, but like nothing like the scale and caliber that it is like what it should have been. And like so now like you just can see the whole progression, and I think that's really cool that like you can just pick it up and start learning and go from ground zero. And like you can get like we started not knowing how to use Final Cut 0, and now we edit for Farfa, DZ, MBT, and ourselves. Like from ground zero, like 0. So like it is possible. I just want everyone to know like don't discredit yourself if you genuinely don't know how to do something, because you can learn. You can always learn. You can progress, and you can.
Yeah.
Well, I think that is the best takeaway that we can have from today's episode is that you matter and you do it.
Facts.
True. It is very true. Like at the end of the day, you do matter and you can do it. Believe in yourself.
All right. Well, I think that'll wrap us up for today's episode. Thank you guys so much.
No, thank you. Oh my god, thank you. I'm so glad we finally got to come on. Yeah, I'm so glad we finally got to come on. This was super fun. I love doing these. We don't do these a whole lot, so whenever we do, I'm always really excited because I don't socialize with people except at events. So this is always very welcome.
Definitely. And one day, if we're ever in Western New York or pretty soon Arizona.
Yeah. Phoenix.
Yeah, so if we're ever out in Phoenix, I'll hit y'all up.
True.
Dude, please do.
YCX Phoenix when?
Yo, that'd be cool. Or any California one. We'll be at those too.
Yeah, we'll be there too.
We'll be at Pasadena or wherever. We try to go to as many events as possible. Just always let us know if you're at an event.
I don't think we're gonna make it to any more events this year
that's
because for me, like I said, I'm a UPS driver.
Yeah,
so
you've
work
got
for
like
me is like
stuff to do. Like I think we'll get some cool
work
events.
for me is crazy.
Yeah, I think we'll get some cool events in the beginning. Honestly, I think we're gonna start getting a lot more cool events.
Yeah,
I'm gonna aim for nationals for sure because I finally, for the first time ever, I got my invite. The first weekend of Power of the Elements being out, I got my invite, which was very nice. And then I think I'm gonna try to make it to one YCS at the beginning of the year and one at the end. Hopefully they'll do Fort Worth. If they do Fort Worth, that's really easy. I can drive.
Cool.
That's fair.
It's like 3 hours from us.
Yeah, I would love for them to do like a YCS in like a nice warm place. I know they're doing Pasadena. Like next year, if they could like do a nice like, I'd be really down.
If they could do a warm one in like January or February.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like that. Like that's I'm down. But
YCS Fort Worth, February 2nd. Coming soon.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Although actually, it'll probably still be in the 30s at that time. But I'd rather it be like 30s to 50s than like 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Minneapolis, it's gonna be cold.
Yeah, I'm not going. I'm not doing that.
We're staying home.
We're staying home for that one. We're gonna hold off on that one.
Not going.
But yeah, thank you for having us on. I really.
Yes. No, thank you for you're having us on.
No. This is your channel. We're just doing a subathon.
We're literally on your channel right now.
Well, it's all mutual. I hope you guys know we're super grateful. We do appreciate it. I can't wait to see it on the channel, and as soon as I rip the VOD and send it to you.
Thank you a bunch. Also, follow us on Twitter at TopCut.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Make sure you follow.
God, plug your socials. Go for it.
Yeah. Plug your. Wait. This is your channel. You plug yourself on your channel.
You can follow us on Spotify. We are the Top Cut Yu-Gi-Oh podcast. We're also on Apple, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, pretty much wherever you can find them. And we're also on YouTube, Top Cut Podcast. So
amazing. Yeah.
Sweet. Make sure you guys go show the love.
Yeah. My chat. Make sure you go follow them. Greatly appreciated. Very dear friends. They're also on Twitter and all that fun stuff. But yeah. Thanks.
Thank you again. I'm gonna go watch some football because I have 4 fantasy teams playing right now.
Snap!
Go Pack!
That's
Go!
crazy.
Who dat? Let's go Saints!
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for
Take
having
care,
us on.
everybody.